Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today we're checking out the ultimate, this could be the ultimate budget phone. This is a Samsung A15. Now this just came out a few months ago, or 6 months ago. I needed a budget phone, a backup phone, and I didn't want to spend an exorbitant amount of money. Like I got S24 Ultra, it's awesome. But we got an A15, it's my backup phone. And I gotta say, overall, it's great. It's like 10 times cheaper than this bad boy, the S24 Ultra. It can also be 10 times slower in some cases, like graphics and all that stuff, but it's about 10 times slower than S24 Ultra in the GPU, but it's the same as the Tab 9. And the Tab 9 is twice as fast as the Tab 8. So it's a really good starting point for performance on the GPU. So you can be doing some gaming, you can watch some videos. It runs really well. Like the technology they've got in phones nowadays is so good. I've got ultimate comparison. I'm comparing it against the M4 iPad Pro. I've got compared it to the S24 Ultra. What I found is it is very comparative if you've got a Galaxy Tab 9 Plus, and I've got one of those. So as you can see, the A15 is pretty much on level with the Tab 9 Plus. But one thing is it's 2 times faster than the Galaxy Tab 8. So as you can see, 90 Hz display, it looks very fluid, very nice and easy to use. So the graphics has gotten to a point, the performance has gotten to a point where it is actually pretty usable. I mean, I've been running games on this, they seem to run fast. Regarding disk performance, as you can see, it is a lot slower than the S24 Ultra. Like 5 in the gigabytes a second on memory, and 15 is on the Samsung S24 Ultra. 300 is sequential write, and Samsung is 800. So it's just around under 3. Let's try boats, see what that's about. Seems to be loading just fine. A couple of seconds there and it's loaded. You got to remember that 90 megabytes a second is ultra high speed SD card. So the fact that it is, look, it's pushing over 300 megabytes a second. Writing and reading is faster as well, and 90 is the limit to go for ultra high speed SD cards. So that's a pass for me, like 500 megabytes a second going in there on the sequential read. Some games are 3D intensive applications. They can be a bit slower, so you have to reduce the graphic settings. So I got Boat Monster here, and settings wise, we're going to be putting it both on very high and ambient occlusion. I'm going to turn that bad boy on. 60 frames a second right now. You can see it's like 20 frames a second on the A15, but on S24 Ultra you got 60 frames a second. So I'm just going to lower down the reflection quality down to high. Still got only 17 frames a second. Then turn off ambient occlusion, and now we're hitting around 30 frames a second. 45. Let's go back. That's probably good enough there. So loading speeds, I'll hit start at the same time. Boom, and you can see right there, yeah, S24 Ultra is just slightly smoother on that rotation field, so it is a bit more jittery on the A15, but do you notice it? Going on max full throttle here, using our bow thruster. Oh, I'm gonna crash. No, reverse. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Using the throttles to control the boat. You don't use the steering wheel on docking, especially if you got 2 engines. Now you can here, we got a bow and stern thruster, so this is cool. We can turn them both on, and that'll make the boat go sideways. And then we just shift the engine, reverse it like that, and we are almost docked the boat. And boom, we've docked the boat right there. Let's see if we can do it on the S24 Ultra. We're almost there on the S24 Ultra actually. So I'll just reverse the end. Oh, look at that. Oh, we are done. Look at that, we are done. I don't know what's wrong. Like, it might seem easy to control a boat when you're just watching, sitting on your sofa thinking you can do it, but when you're there in real life, it does get a bit scary. You do make mistakes quickly. So I'm not saying, not saying you won't be able to drive your boat without bashing it, but I'm not the worst driver. People that have boats usually buy the boats and never use them. Just saying. Anyway, I've done it on the A15. Obviously, I struggle on the S24 Ultra. Maybe the extra frame rate isn't actually helping, of course. I do notice every now and then when I swipe down, there is a little jitter. But the next time I swipe down, the jitter's completely gone. I think it's because it's only got 4 gigabytes of RAM. Now, 4 gigs is a lot, but Android is bloatware. So the fact that it's only got 4 gigs of RAM, it can have a bit of issues moving the memory about when you do have an application in the background. So what you can do if you enable developer mode, you can go into the settings and right towards the bottom, you can limit background processes to give you that little bit of extra performances. And if you click on don't keep activities, that will also disable anything running in the background. So when you do swipe down, it's going to be fast all the time. And you can pretty much run a lot of things on it. The only negatives I found is that it's not waterproof. So that's a big negative if you plan to splash around. I'm not a big fan of the color. It's not black. It's got this a bit too cheap kind of like tinge to it. So the people know that it's nice. But once you got a case on it, you won't notice it. So it's all good. The fingerprint sensor is on the right. So I'm just trying to set up the fingerprint sensor on the side, because I don't want to always have to pick up the phone to use it. Seems a bit awkward. Hopefully it will work though. It is a bit tricky getting used to it. I think you just need to get a hang of it. Get the hang of it. It's alright. I guess you can always register an extra finger with your thumb at different awkward angle points, and that will help it. You can add another fingerprint and just re-register your same thumb, and that will hopefully make it double secure. Yeah, which is cool. You got to get used to it though. I'm kind of used to pressing the fingerprint on the middle. The camera is only 1080p. All right, camera. Let's just see how this camera is. So the main difference that I notice here, hello, how's it going? What's up? The main thing that I notice is that it's on video. You do get ultra wide and all that stuff, so that's pretty cool. You got ultra wide. So you can get a lot of perspectives. That's awesome that you got it on this cheapy phone. But the only limitation you got is you can only support 1080p videos. 1080p at 30 frames a second. Quality wise, I'm just going to do a little selfie.
How do I look on the A15? Probably reddish. Or maybe on the S24, I am yellowish. What?
I've got my trusty little Android over here. I'm just going to composite it up there and take a beautiful Android picture. So S24 Ultra, the image does look a little bit brighter, so that's a good thing. A15, the quality still looks great. Like, I'm going to zoom right in. I can still see the circle dictate its eye. Zoom in on S24 Ultra. They both definitely look good. I mean, on mobile phones, what can you expect? The sound sounds good. It's only got downward firing speakers, but it sounds good when you can hear it, as long as you don't put your thumb over it. One thing that I do like about the Samsung series is that they do promise 4 levels of Android OS updates. So that is a lot. And you can see right there is a software update to get it all going. Comparatively, I was considering the Motorola, the G84, and the specs on that one, that is great. It's got 12 gigs of RAM. So it is a beast, and it's pretty much the same price as this, if not slightly cheaper. But they have said they're not going to be maintaining their Android. I mean, they'll give you security patches, but they're not really going to be doing any updates. Whereas with Samsung A15, it'll probably last you a good few years of updates. So you can probably hang around to it, which is good. And it's also got Samsung's bloatware. You can uninstall a lot of that, but it also has Samsung's features. So you can limit the batteries to 85%. You can disable a lot of the features. I always disable like scanning Bluetooth devices. I disable a lot of stuff. And in connections, there's lots of different features. So if you go into more connection settings, nearby device scanning, I've disabled that. NFC, I've disabled that. Bluetooth, I've disabled that. Wi-Fi calling, I've disabled a lot of these extra smart features. It's still piping up every now and then, 180, 150 milliwatts. I don't know why. I don't know actually what it's doing right now. There should really be nothing happening on this phone, so that's just a bit mental. Let's just go on the other side here. Yeah, generally it's on the microwatts level and even 0, but sometimes it does spike up to over 200. Don't know why. Not sure what's going on, but I've disabled as much as I could. It's on 0 now for quite a while, so generally it is great if it runs at 0, but every now and then it does spike to a lot. I don't have Google services signed in, I don't have Samsung services signed in, got a lot of it disabled, but it does spike up quite a bit every now and then. Or maybe that was just a glitch, not sure. But generally Samsung, because you can disable a lot of these features, it's generally good. Look, it stayed on 0 for quite a while now, so that's good. Maybe when I went to connections, it was doing a sort of update. The only thing I did have enabled was keep system configuration up to date. So maybe decided to try to update the configuration. Let's see. Okay, shot up again to 85. So maybe every minute it polls and it's scanning for some sort of information, but most of the time it is bang on 0. So it's better than the worst. So overall, yeah, I'm very impressed. It's a cheap phone with a premium experience. Like I'm using Android. I'll show you right now. I'll just unlock the fingerprint sensor. Just the Android is very slick. Like you swipe around, it's very slick. You got all the widgets right there. It's a very slick experience using this phone. You got developer mode. I've got to say, it's a very slick phone. It's working well. It's fast. The screen is gorgeous. Like obviously I've got a better screen with the S24 Ultra, but when I use it, do I really notice a difference? Not really. Like it's a great phone, especially for the price. You don't get iPhones this cheap. So would you guys think of this A15? Would you actually consider it? Like I'm thinking maybe in a few years these budget phones are going to be just as good as these super premium phones. I'm guessing because the super premium phones, the latest features they got is just AI, and will you want that? That we'll find out. But generally, these little phones, they probably are great. So let me know what phones you guys are using, especially budget phones you guys are using out there in the world. Hope you guys found this video useful and enjoyed the show. All right, so this is the Galaxy A15 5G. It's got 4 gigs of RAM, 128 of storage, and it doesn't come with a charger, but it is cheap as chips. So interestingly enough, you can get Samsung Care with this phone. I don't know if it's worth it at this price range. The packaging looks very premium, just like my S24 Ultra, and there is the phone right there. Gotta say, it feels a bit plasticky. I'm not a big fan of the blue tinge. I guess it looks slightly different, but with a case on, I guess you won't notice it. But from the front, it looks gorgeous. Just going to compare it with my S24 Ultra. You can see the Ultra is a bit bigger. And with a case on, they look pretty much the same. It looks very, very premium. Like if I was holding this out in the street, you wouldn't know that this is a 1/10 of the price I paid for this guy. So yeah, it looks gorgeous. Now let's look at the design. You got rockers for your volume up and down. You got a power button over here, which is also a fingerprint sensor, so that's good. And on the other side here, there's where the SIM card is. On the bottom, USB-C, so it's modern. It's even got a headphone jack. This is the only contentious issue there. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that Batman style shape, but maybe I'll get used to it. The bezel, it looks very much like an iPhone, like compared to the Samsung Premium. That looks very gorgeous, and the bezel is very thin, whereas this guy, it reminds me so much like an iPhone. That's what an iPhone kind of looks like. Weight-wise, they feel about the same. Maybe this one's slightly heavier and slightly thicker. Material-wise, the Samsung has a nice kind of metallic touch to it. This one has a plastic touch to it, but with the case on, you're not going to notice a difference. Camera bumps, yes, they are very similar. So what extras do you get over here? You get a USB cable, USB-C to USB-C, and you get an insert about the warranty and safety information. Contains magnets, avoid liquid or dust, and SAR. Like I said, we'll be checking that out. One thing I am noticing straight away is that the buttons are very clicky. You hear that sound? Power button. You can start straight away customizing the phone. I've got to say, it feels just like my S24 Ultra.